So at the very start of Trump's presidency, one of the promises that he made was that he was going to take his salary and donate it to various government agencies throughout the time that he was in office. And they made a big show of this. They would come out in the White House press briefing room with these huge checks, and they would transfer with this oversized check a $78,000 or a $100,000 amount of money from Trump's bank account into whichever government agency he was supporting. But what they weren't showing was all of the enormous amount of money that Trump was continuing to collect. Of course, his government salary for him was pocket change. Where he was really making his money was through the business that he had decided to hang on to when he took office. And if you add up all of that revenue coming in through the 4 years that he's in office, that comes to about $2.4 billion. The biggest chunk of money is through sort of his golf clubs and golf resorts. So this is Doral down in Miami. He owns 3 resorts in Europe, and he owns about a dozen golf clubs here in the United States. If you look at the next biggest revenue generator, that's sort of his commercial real estate. So think big, broad-shouldered buildings in New York, things on Fifth Avenue, on 61st Street, sort of right in the center of Manhattan. He has really the core of his empire. And that all of it brought in about $780 million. Then the next biggest chunk is his hotel licensing management empire. This is probably Trump's most famous part of his business. So people love, for example, to talk about the DC hotel that's right down the street from the White House. And he's got a big hotel in Las Vegas, another one in Chicago. But these are also really tricky businesses, and they're not the most profitable businesses. They're not even huge revenue generators when you compare them to the golf business and the commercial real estate business. Trump, when he took office, he didn't stop selling things. And included in the things that he was selling were a lot of plots of land and condos. And these were, in many cases, multi-million-dollar sales. He sold a penthouse in New York for about $16 million, sold land down in the Dominican Republic for about $3 million. It seemed like every other week he was selling condos in Las Vegas. All of this stuff was coming into his pockets while he's serving from various sources, many of which, frankly, we don't know who they are because they were shielding their identities when they were making those purchases. If you add up all of that stuff, it adds up to about $118 million. And one of the interesting things there is that almost all of that $118 million came in the first 3 years of Trump's presidency. During COVID, although he was trying to sell things, for example, like his hotel in Washington, D.C., he didn't have much luck. Nobody was willing to pay him the prices that he wanted. And so suddenly a big cash stream for him just went totally dry. Beyond there, there's just sort of a big mix of things. So Trump is still collecting money from the art of the deal, from the time that he appeared in Home Alone 2. He had a skating rink in Central Park. He has restaurants in the basement of Trump Tower. He's got all of these different things that combined bring in money. And if you add all of those up, that helps create the balance of that $2.4 billion that he generated during his time in the White House.